What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Scott Kumler here, team leader, coach, and part of the fastest growing organization inside eXp Realty. If you're a real estate agent who wants consistent closings, more time freedom, and a business that doesn't feel like chaos every single day, you're in the right place. Today, I'm breaking down the 5 systems that every real estate agent must have if you want to create predictable results, whether you're a brand new agent or selling 50 plus homes a year. Also, if you're watching this and you're looking for mentorship, or if you want to know what partnering with me at eXp looks like, text me at 623-387-2688 or use the calendar link below to book a call. All right, let's get into it. The number one system that you need in your real estate business is lead generation. Every real estate business rises or falls on one thing: the ability to generate consistent leads. And here's the truth: you don't need 10 different lead sources, you need one that you go all in. Your lead generation system should answer these questions. Who am I trying to attract? Are you trying to attract first-time home buyers, move-up families, investors, relocation clients? Where will my leads come from? You want to pick one primary channel to master first. It could be YouTube, Facebook ads, open houses, Zillow, Instagram Reels, referrals from lender partners. It could be a lot of those different type of things. But you want to master only one at first. And then once you master one lead source, then you can always add an additional one on here in the future. How many conversations per day is a target? Most agents don't have a lead generation problem. They have a consistency problem. What you need is a system, something that runs without your emotions involved. Your lead generation system might look like this. 1 hour calls per day, 2 social media posts, 10 reach out to your sphere, 1 open house every weekend, or if you're running the YouTube channel play, 1 video a week, title research, SEO keywords, scripts, thumbnail workflow, upload schedule, kind of figure out what your system looks like. But a lead generation system protects your business from the ups and downs. System number 2, lead conversion. Now that leads are coming in, the real work begins. Most agents don't have a lead problem, they have a follow-up problem. Your lead conversion system should answer: how fast do I respond? Speed of lead is everything. If you're not responding in under 5 minutes, someone else is. What my follow-up plan is, this is where 90% of agents fall short. A great conversion system includes immediate response with the right script, first day follow-up, 7-day nurture plan, 30-day long nurture plan, templates, text scripts, saved replies, video messages. All that stuff is extremely important when it comes to converting your leads. You want to make sure they're getting emails, you want to make sure they're getting texts, and you want to make sure you have a follow-up plan in place based on their time frame. For example, one script might say, hey, this is Scott Kuhn with eXp Realty. I started looking at homes. Awesome. What's your timeline look like? Simple, human, quick. Your conversion system should make sure no lead gets left behind and every conversion has a next step. Typically, the average agent only follows up with lead twice, but typically it's going to take you 11 no's before you get a yes. So that consistent follow-up is extremely important, because even if you get the leads but you're not following up with those leads, you're going to have a tough time converting them anyways. And so you definitely want to make sure you have a conversion plan in place to follow up with your leads and then to convert them into a client. The next thing is client onboarding. Once a client says yes, this is where most agents start winging it. You want to have a system in order to, for one, sell your value, and then explain what the process is. What is the plan? So, for example, most buyers have no idea what the process looks like once they get under contract. And so you need to have a plan in place and saying, okay, we're meeting here. This is the next step. Okay, so I'm going to lead the process. And after, we meet today, I'm going to go ahead and have my preferred lender reach out to you. Once they reach out to you and they give you an idea on the price point, now I'm going to go ahead and have, set you up for a search. So we can start looking at properties based on the search criteria that you're looking for, based on the price point that you're qualified for. But then you also want to guide them through every step of the way, right? What's next after that? Most people have no idea what earnest money is. They have no idea what an inspection is. They have no idea what an appraisal is. And so it's our job as real estate agents to educate our clients, to let them know what that process looks like, and that we have a game plan for them. That way, you're not going to be getting a whole bunch of questions. This is your opportunity to educate them, and it makes the whole process a lot smoother for your clients versus your clients have no idea what's going on. This is one of the biggest purchases that someone is going to make in their lifetime, and if they don't think that you have a plan in place, it's going to make it a lot more stressful for your clients. And so it's very important that once you do get a client, that you have some sort of process. I call it a buyer consultation, where we basically onboard them as a client and then tell them what is next throughout the process and then guide them every step of the way throughout the process. System 4 you need to have: Transaction management. This is also where a lot of deals fall apart, right? Because if you don't have a transaction management system in place, typically you're missing deadlines. You might be missing the inspection process, the appraisal. You're doing all the work. And so this is where most deals fall apart. So you definitely want to make sure you have some sort of transaction management system in place to keep things on track. That could be reminders for yourself. So if you're basically doing all the work yourself, you make sure you have calendar reminders that remind you of when the inspection's over, when the appraisal needs to be ordered, all that stuff. You can also hire a transaction coordinator. We give a transaction coordinator to everyone that's on our team to make the process a little bit easier for agents that are within our organization. You can outsource a transaction coordinator. I know here in Arizona, typically an average price for a transaction coordinator is about $400 to $500 per transaction. So you definitely want to make sure you have some sort of transaction management in place. For example, our brokerage, we also get SkySlope, which also manages the entire transaction. But you can have different CRMs can kind of keep you on track, like with checklists, things of that nature. You can use Google Drives. There's a lot of different things that you can do to kind of keep the process on pace. But what's important is you want to make sure you have a transaction management in place, because if you don't, you run the risk of a deal falling out of contract. And that means all the work that you just did, is for nothing, right? So it's very important that you have some sort of transaction management process in place. So the platform doesn't necessarily matter as much, but making sure you have some sort of system does. And so that's more important than anything else. And system number 5 is the past client process. Typically, when you first get into real estate, you have to go out there and really hustle for all your leads and all your business, because you don't have any past clients, you don't have any raving fans. You have to go out there and find new leads. And this is typically why most agents struggle, is because they have to go out there and hustle and work for the business when it comes to lead generation. But if you have your process dialed in, by about year 3, about 50% of your business that you have coming in should be past client or referral business. And so this is why it's very important to have a past client process dialed in. I will tell you from firsthand experience, most buyers will forget who their agent is if you don't keep in contact with them. I personally sold a home in Illinois. I bought a home in Illinois before I moved to Arizona. And then when I was getting ready to sell a home 5 years later, one thing I realized was that I forgot who my real estate agent was. I had no idea what their name was. I just knew what brokerage they worked with. And so I couldn't figure out who my real estate agent was. So I ended up hiring someone else to sell my home, even though the person that helped me buy the house was an amazing agent. She did a great job. I loved working with her, but I couldn't figure out who she was. And so this is why it's very important that once you get a deal closed, you don't want to wipe your hands and say, okay, I've got my commission, I'm done. You want to have a past client process in place to keep in contract with your past clients. I do that, personally. We have a process where we do 4 messages per year. One message might be a checking in message. Then there might be one that's a CMA. Video CMAs work extremely well. Understand they have assets, right? Their home is an investment. And so one of the things I always like to do is I like to update my clients once a year with the what their investment looks like, how much their home is now worth. Not saying they have to sell, but I just like to keep them updated, right? It gives me an excuse to reach out to them. Holiday messages, things like that are highly effective as well too. I know a lot of agents that crush it with past client parties. It also gives you a reason to reach out to your past clients. So typically they might do a past client appreciation party once a year, and they invite all their past clients. They reach out to them, touch base, and say, hey, you're welcome to come. So we're renting out a movie theater and you get, movie tickets or whatever that may be. But you want to make sure you have your past client process dialed in. I know a lot of people also will do around Thanksgiving, they do pumpkin pies where they have a pumpkin pie pickup and they give it to all their past clients, And so it's very important that you have your past client process followed in. We also do monthly market updates. That's something else that we'll do. Birthday messages, anniversary messages. I like to keep in contact with all my clients on social media. So typically one of the things I do as soon as I help someone sell a home, I also friend request them on Facebook or follow them on Instagram. And that's another way to kind of keep in contact with them, because then they see everything that you're doing, because you're going to be active on social media. And so typically that's another great way to message them, where I'll go ahead and, send them Facebook messages, for whatever reason, or comment on their posts, things of that nature. But it's important for you to stay top of mind without being salesy, because your past clients will become your biggest marketing engine if you do it right? Again, most agents close a deal, then they disappear. Don't be that agent. Build relationships, stay connected, add value. And there you have it. The 5 systems that every successful real estate agent must have if you want to have consistent, scalable, and a business that gives you the life that you want. If you want help building these systems, if you want mentorship, or if you want to know what partnering with me at HB looks like, text me at 623-387-2688 or book a Zoom meeting with my calendar link below. And hey, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.